I'm Terrence James, and you're watching another episode of Neutral Reviews, where we do real reviews for real decisions. And today we are looking at the 2023, I will not say, Miata Mazda MX-5 RF GT manual. And I have borrowed the keys for this vehicle from Mazda Canada. Now, the MX-5, I will not say Miata, is one of the most iconic vehicles on the road today and is interwoven throughout popular car culture all throughout the world. And not just because it's seemingly shrinking in both size and numbers on the road today in lieu of ballooning self-driving electric appliances. No, it is so much more than that. It is a legend among weekend warriors and has a cult following because of its illustrious motorsports history, especially the grassroots. And this ND Miata has been created to be even more manly for North America and get you even back to those ND roots of being the classic British sports car, just infused with the Japanese efficiency and reliability that we know and love. And this vehicle here just happens to be now one of the best sports cars in the world, and one that we can afford, or more of us can afford anyway. So we take a look at the facts, feels, and final thoughts of the 2023, I will not say Miata, Mazda MX-5. We give you as many facts as we can, test out how they feel, and as always, help lead you to your final thoughts. And if you are a subscriber, you are also a fellow neutral reviewer. So please leave your short review in the comments below. So let's take a look. We'll put the roof up so you can hear properly. 13 seconds. All right. Not bad. All right, and we're off. And let's start with our first impressions. Well, when I picked this up, I had driven a Mazda Miata about a year ago, but just around the block basically, and I was shocked at how small it actually is, because I have a BRZ, a 2020, and it's a small car. It's very similar to this if you see them beside each other in a parking lot. Not a ton of difference really, just at the naked eye. But when you sit in this, and my car sits really, really low, like the seats and everything, but this is just on a whole nother level. And like I said, you know, my legs are, you know, straight out like an F1 car and things like that. That was impressive. That was one of the first things I took away. And one of the other things I took away as a first impression as well was how good it was on the highway for stability, because my car, very similar size, weight to this and everything else. Mine does weigh a little bit more, but also has the back seats, but they're both two of the lightest cars in production nowadays. And anyway, mine feels like it's blown all over the highway. This felt like a little tank. I was really, really, really impressed with that. One of the other things we want to talk about that I was impressed with as well is the price on this. Nowadays, Canadian average price on things are about $50,000 Canadian, which is crazy. This here starts at about 35, not the RF, but the MX-5 starts around 35 grand Canadian, plus fees and taxes, and you can get all the way up to almost 50,000 for something like this that's fully loaded in the RF and everything else like that. But again, you're going to get a lot with the base, and you're going to get a lot with this. So with the base, one thing that I like is they do put that 2-liter Skyactiv engine in all of these cars. You do get the 6-speed manual. You can upgrade to an automatic if you want, but it's the same 6-speed manual. And then again, you get into something like this. You get Bilstein dampers. You're going to get a limited slip differential. It is quite a serious little sports car, and you do get quite a bit for that level of pricing. And when we talk about competition, well, there really is none. They kind of got the market cornered nowadays. They used to have, you know, Pontiac had a little convertible, you know, of course there was the M2 and things like that. But again, your pricing is getting up a lot more with those and things like that. Realistically, I would say nowadays, you're probably looking at the GR86 or the BRZ would be your main competition. And again, because they're both going for similar things, which is a lightweight, very small, nimble sports car where it is no nonsense, totally all about the driver, driver engagement, all the pieces that you touch and everything. Like, and again, we'll get more into this later with the Rants and Raves, but you can really tell that everything that shakes and rattles on this thing is shakes and rattles on purpose. It doesn't feel like it's not quality or premium, that's for sure. It really is an impressive little vehicle. So yeah, as we said, the BRZ probably, you're similar pricing with the convertible. So a BRZ, you're looking in the low to mid 30s, which is similar to the convertible version of this car. Of course, the RF, you're going to get into those mid to high 40s, which is a bit different. But realistically, if you're looking at that mid 30s one with the BRZ, what you're missing at that price on the BRZ is the roof off experience. But what you get with a BRZ or something compared to this is a little bit more practicality. And that's one of the things that I really noticed with this car, is that's what this driving is all about, having fun. But fun also means not a lot of practicality sometimes, right? And as you keep going towards those giant land yachts or driving appliances we mentioned in the monologue, that's what happens, is you keep getting further and further away from this because you need more and more practicality. And that's essentially what my BRZ is. You put an extra set of back seats in it, you lose the roof, and you lose a little bit of the driving dynamics. And then the further along you go, by the time you get to a Mustang, you got a 4,000-pound car that does, you know, it's kind of lost its way. But yeah, when we talk about that, let us pull over and go to our place that we'd like to do some testing and do some performance tests on this. Okay, now we're going to do our backup test, because as we said, we got that blind spot right there. Not the best backup camera, and even though it's a small car, it's not the easiest thing to see around. So let's just give it a try. All right, here we go. So we do have our backup cameras. The lines are not dynamic, so I am going to have to rely on what I learned many years ago, which I may or may not failed a few times. So here we go. Don't worry about it, Mazda, though. Everyone's got insurance. Oh boy, yep. I think I just ran into somebody. Oh, if there was somebody there, this is bad. Okay, here we go. Okay. And thump. Parked. Passed. Okay, it's time to do our handling test, just to give you a good idea. Okay, here we go. Oh, no sport mode. As you can see, it handles really well with these double wishbones here. Yeah, it's just absolutely amazing. With these changes they've made to the suspension, it just really wants to stick. It's impressive. Passed. Okay, now it's time to do our traffic light Grand Prix acceleration test. Like, we want to rush up as fast as we can to that stoplight just to hammer on the brakes. Now, just a couple quick performance facts before we go, which is it does use the 2-liter Sky Active inline 4 with 181 horsepower and 151 pound-feet of torque, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it only weighs about 2,500 pounds or less, which is incredible, which can rocket this little thing from 0 to 60 in the 5-second range, which is really impressive. And like, as you can see on the skid pad, amazing numbers. We want to mention quickly too, it only has 2 piston front and 1 piston rear brakes, but as you can see, because of how light it is, it stops really quickly. Double wishbone up front, multi-link in the rear, and again, it's been adjusted to make sure that this vehicle stays planted, including some electronic trickery with the inside wheel to make sure that it stays planted. So yes, amazing little vehicle, great performance. What else? Limited slip differential. We said Bilstein dampers on this one. Yeah, so here we go. Okay, no sport mode and anything. This is no nonsense. This is just here we go. All right, and we won't do a clutch dump or anything, but here we go. All right. Oh. Look at that, all the way up to 7,500. Here we go. Okay, well, hammer on the brakes. Hold on. Pass. It is incredible. I could imagine this with the upgraded performance package with the Brembos would be amazing. Pass. Okay, it's time for our highway and handling test, and I've purposely opened the roof. I have no idea if this is going to sound okay, but that's the point, because we want to see what is this car like to travel on the highway with the roof down, because you're going to want to have the roof down. It's pretty awesome. So here we go. We're going to hop on the highway here, give an idea just how well it handles in reality. So here we go. Obviously going a little bit faster than you probably would on an on-ramp, but here we go. The seat holds really tight, lots of confidence. I mean, these little Miatas will break around on you. It's kind of scary, but you got to really push it. More of like a track type situation. Yeah, it holds really well. Confidence inspiring, smooth. Yeah, it's just really nice. It's got a lot of little things that really make it feel special, like just the way it vibrates and everything else. But how can we get on the highway here? So we're in third, which is good gear. As you can see, lots and lots of power to get on the highway. Now we'll drop it down into sixth gear here. So as you can hear, there is quite a lot of wind noise, absolutely, in here. Not the best to have a conversation, but believe it or not, it really is great to listen to the radio. You're not going to be able to hear it because of these speakers back here. It's unbelievable. You would think that the roof was up. But I got to tell you, there is nothing like having the roof open and having your, wind in the hair. Just want to make sure the toupee doesn't go flying off. Pass. All right, now that we pulled over, let's take a better look at the back of the MX-5. Now, I'm not even going to try to do any dancing because, let's be honest, the demographic that's probably buying this car is not much up for the river dance, and you got to be pretty spry. So spry, you got to bend all the way down here if you don't want to use your key fob to pop in here. And let's just see. As you can see on the screen, there is not a lot of cubic feet worth of space in here, and it does look that small in real life, and there's absolutely nothing going on back here. And that's pretty sad that they got to put your owner's manual back here and the spare tire kit because there's no room anywhere else. And you might want to remove that if you want to know, maybe put some toiletries or something. But all joking aside, yeah, you can easily put groceries, a couple bags and things like that, but you're not going to be putting any hockey bags. But how about a hockey stick? Because you never know when a game of road hockey is going to break out in Canada, and you always want to be prepared. So here we go. Nope, don't even bother. What we're going to do is come around here. And there's the trick of the trade. You got to put it through the window. And through like that. Voila! You can use your MX-5, we won't say Miata, in Canada for road hockey anyway. I don't know about hockey bags. Definitely not goalies. And as you can see back here, I do see 2 tailpipes, and they are real. Thank you, Mazda. Now, how do they sound? Not bad. As we said, they are real. Now let's go and sit in here, and there's no back seats, but let's see how it is in the front. Okay, getting into the front of the Mazda MX-5. As you can see, that door opens up nice and wide. It's quite a drop down in here. It's one thing getting in, but it's another thing getting out. In all honesty, you do have to be a little spry. I have invited many people to come into this vehicle over the course of this week, and not many people want to get into it, even though they're super interested in the car because they're literally afraid they can't get back out. But it is not that bad if you're in half decent shape, and that is the point of a car like this, is because it's super fun to have this really, really sporty driving position. Because as you can see, I am right stretched out here, kind of like a Formula One driver. Well, actually, their legs are way up, but I mean, I am stretched right out, and you were sitting on the ground, literally. So as you can see, my foot has the clutch pedal and the gas pedal fully pushed down, and my legs are fully extended. And the steering wheel here is manually telescopic and tilting, so you can bring it closer or further away to you depending on your driving style. Some people like it nice and close. Yeah, there's a fair amount of adjustment in here, and when we do talk about steering wheel, I'm a sucker for the steering wheel. This is very similar to my BRZ. I love it. It's a thin-rimmed, thin diameter steering wheel. It feels really good in the hand. Of course, leather being premium, Mazda looks nice. They've got hard buttons on here, which I really appreciate. So on the right-hand side, you got your cruise control, things like that. And on the left-hand side, working your radio and some of the information on these nice, beautiful analog gauges, just like my BRZ. I really, really like that. So as you can see here, you got that nice tachometer right in the middle, like a Porsche or something like that. And this car actually really does rev out quite high. Mine says 9,000 RPM. Obviously, it does not do that. It's about the same as this, about 7,500 RPM. But this one will go further. Mine will have the fuel cut off around that, whereas this will let you go around 8,000. You're not getting any more power because this ends at 7, but nonetheless, it's pretty cool. And yeah, there's not a lot of information over here on this one, as you can see, but it is nice to have, and probably the most popular one is the little navigation one, because it tells you how far till you're running out of gas and what direction you're going, and some basic information there. And of course, you got your gear selector. Switch gear in here. It's a Mazda. It's premium, so it all looks nice, works good. And And talking about that, you got your heating and ventilation. You got these here, nice tactile feel, and again, premium. They look nice being a Mazda, all hard buttons. And this version here with the GT RF, you got the auto climate control, which is really nice as well. And that is the button I use to roll down or put down the hard top. Takes around 13 seconds, which is incredible. And I believe you got to be at a standstill. I tried to do it even going really, really slow in a parking lot. It wouldn't seem to let you do it. Just keep that in mind if you're out and about and it starts to rain, you got to be parked somewhere to put the roof back up. It would seem you got heated seats, which is really nice. And engagement pieces, well, the claim to fame right here. Look at that, 6-speed manual transmission. And it was improved as part of the ND a few years ago. And not that it really needed it, but again, the philosophy of this vehicle, especially the ND, was to get back to those roots of really being a driver's car and really being connected to the road. And I'm telling you, it is, we're going to talk about it more in the Rants and Raves, but it's incredible what they've done with this vehicle. Yeah, now one of the things I do want to talk about when we get into the infotainment is some small complaints. And again, they're small complaints, and we do have our own Rants and Raves that we'll get into more of this. But as we're in this section here, we might as well talk about it. So here, you can put your cell phone. My large iPhone fits in there, but it slips all around. So realistically, it's not the best if you're doing spirited driving, which is the point of this car. So you got to use these pathetic afterthought cup holders. That's what I use to put my phone in because it seems to hold it a little bit better. But I really, like, what's the deal? I don't know what you're going to put in here. And if you do, I'm telling you right now, this car is going to wear it unless it's got quite a lid on it. And other things that are not all the best for practicality is, well, let me just look at my glove compartment. Oh, there is none. Door pockets. Oh, no. No door pockets. Oh, well, we'll put some stuff in here. Oh, like my hand sanitizer. Well, that's about all that fits in there. And we've got this glove compartment thing that you can lock, which is nice. That maybe you want to put your wallet or something. But yeah, there's not a ton of practicality in here because it's not really the point. But I do appreciate that they do put cup holders in a lot of these afterthought type things because the Mazda Miata has been around for a while and technology hasn't. So when we talk about technology, let me turn on the car here and we'll look at the infotainment because that is a big deal for a lot of people nowadays. And one thing to talk about here as this thing's warming up is Mazda's philosophy, which I personally don't agree with. I understand what they're saying, but I don't agree with it in reality. So Mazda's idea, and a lot of Japanese, but especially the Mazda, is they feel that the touchscreen is distracting because as you're fishing around for stuff or looking at it, you're not looking at the road and being engaged with the road. But to be honest with you, you know, I understand what they're saying. They have this beautiful rotary thingamabopper and it goes this way and you know, another button here and some more buttons here, and they say if you memorize them then you keep looking at the road ahead of you, and that's the idea. But to be honest with you, this car is so small. I have little dinosaur arms and I can touch that screen just fine. But yeah, so I really don't know what to tell you there. Now when we come back to the home here, as you can see, it's not the best graphics. It does look pretty old. It's not, I mean, the most responsive. It's a little laggy, things like that. But one of the things really that is my complaint about it, it goes in and out. Sometimes it's touchscreen, sometimes it's not. The Apple CarPlay works, it doesn't work. It's very frustrating. I wouldn't say it's a deal breaker because that's not, again, why you're having a car like this, but just to warn you, it's not the best system when it comes to that. At all. So that can be a little bit frustrating. And one of the things too, like I said here, that can be frustrating as well is they've put so much thought into this car. It is truly an amazing GT car and a sports car because of the fact of the way that it's laid out. So when I close this door here, my arm can rest here and it's symmetrical. It's perfectly comfortable. The ergonomics, I can reach everything. The shifter, like I said, there's nothing in the way here for me to shift. Like, that is incredible. And I got my handbrake here, manual handbrake. It's really, really awesome that they've done that. However, because they've stuck this thing here, I can't tell you how many times I've pushed down on that and it's either muted something or brought something up, changed what I was doing. It's quite frustrating. So, you know, technology in these cars can be helpful, but they can also be a bit of a hindrance at times. But the main thing with a car like this, as we said, is the driving, and we're going to do that in 1 second. One of the things that I just want to show you quickly before we hit the road here is the visibility. It's not too bad when we look this way. You got these pillars here, but because the car is so small, it doesn't really get in your way. And one of the things I like too are these humps on the front. Not only do they look cool, my car has them as well, but it really does help you line up the corners and the apexes and things like that. But hello, there's a blind spot for you. That is one of the downsides to this car. But in all honesty, again, all you need to do is put a little fisheye mirror on your normal mirrors to help see around. And they do have a wonderful cross traffic and blind spot monitoring that you can also see in the side gauge here. So we've done a lot of talking. Let's take this for a further drive and lead to our final thoughts. All right, now that we're back on the road, let's lead into our final thoughts by going through our rants and raves. So, well, I mean, not a lot to rant about because you shouldn't anyway. I say that all the time when you get these types of vehicles. If you're going to go in and complain that this thing is small or inconvenient or not a lot of practicality, well, why did you go look at it in the first place? You know what I mean? So I'm not going to really rant about some of that stuff, but what I will rant about is, you know, I think they could have did a better job when they did the ND2 by adding in real cup holders and one somewhere or something, I don't know. And like I said, I really just am not in agreement with their philosophy nowadays, especially on this car. Sure, on a giant, you know, like their new giant SUV, you can't reach. Sure, maybe you should memorize those buttons and things like that, but I can reach this no problem. And to fish around here with my arm back here with these buttons is totally inconvenient and not ergonomic at all because it's an afterthought, right? That would be a rant. It comes in, like the Apple CarPlay, and even without Apple CarPlay, this thing just shuts off all of a sudden. It's really not the best infotainment, but again, it's not a deal breaker by any means. It's just irritating. But what the rave about? Well, it's a Mazda Miata. You can take the roof off automatically in 13 seconds or less. So, I mean, that there is amazing. Like, that is what the rave about. The fact that I'm sitting on the ground like a little go-kart, yet it's so stable and so firm and so refined and so well put together. It feels like a little tank. That's what I'm going to rave about. It really, really does feel like I'm driving something very, very special, and I'm starting to get it. After a week with this thing, I actually do get it, and I see now why the Mazda Miata, we're just going to say it, Mazda Miata MX-5 is definitely always the answer, which leads me to my final thoughts. Now, if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe, turn on your notifications, and check out one of our other small fun car reviews so we can get more cool cars like this one in our upcoming review. Now, we set out in this review to give you as many facts as we could, test out how they feel, and as always, help lead you to your final thought. And we said if you are a subscriber, you are a fellow neutral reviewer, and to please leave your review in the comments below for those looking to buy. And here's the facts and feels that we use to come up with your final thought. Which is, this really is back to the roots of the ND, which was supposed to be a lightweight British sports car with what everybody likes about Japanese cars. Well-engineered, refined, easy to live with, very efficient, and very reliable. And that's exactly what you have here. And in the ND2, nowadays in North America, we need more power, and that's what you have here. And you've got an even more driver-centric car where they have made it even more of a focus to make sure that the driver feels connected to the road. You've got double wishbone suspension, which is sports car up front. You've got multi-link in the rear, manual transmission that's been refined and one of the best in the market, limited slip differential in the rear. And you're also going to get close to 40 miles to the gallon, and you're under 50,000, which is the average price of a car today. Now again, 30,000 in that range for this car is a lot of money for a toy, but as you saw, I was able to put a lot of stuff in here, and it is quite usable for a toy, and there's really nothing quite like it on the road today. And that is why I have to say that I get it now, and that the Mazda Miata is always the answer. Thanks for watching, and we will see you again next time.